We are going to work on some MCAS questions. We're going to use our notes here, heat transfer notes, where we talk about convection, conduction, radiation, and then our insulator and conductor notes, where we define and talk about conductors and insulators. So let's go back here. We are going to practice MCAS questions, and the more we practice, the more we get better. So our goal is always to get better. And what we really need to make sure we improve is an open response, where we are typing or writing an answer. So we're going to start with the multiple choice. You have 6 multiple choice, 7 multiple choice, and 1, 2, 3 open response, where you're describing, and I added this picture to help with the open response. Let's go to the example first. You're going to use this strategy to answer each question. And the strategy is read the problem, underline the question, highlight the vocabulary, translate, read the problem again, and then choose an answer. So if I know I'm going to translate, for this, we can use Google Translate. Okay, so I'm going to get my English to Spanish or English to Chinese set up. And we want to read the problem first. So if you can read this, fine. If you have difficulty reading this, one thing you can do is put the cursor, this line right here is called the cursor, and then what you can do is hit play right here. So if you don't see this, you can touch this, it will open, you can hit play, and it will read it for you.
Which of the following statements describes an advantage of using a wooden spoon instead of a metal spoon to stir a pot of hot soup? A wooden spoon radiates heat faster than a metal spoon.
So you could stop it by hitting this button here. If she is talking too fast, you can go to options and you can make it slower. You can make it slower. This is slow, this is fast. So I'm going to make it a little slower, maybe 15. Okay, and for translations, you can change this to Spanish or Chinese or another language. So you read the problem. Now you're going to underline the question. So I'm going to find the question. Here, the whole thing is the question. So now I'm going to underline it. Next, I'm going to highlight vocabulary words. So these are your highlighters up here. So which of the following statements describe was a vocabulary word? I remember advantage being a vocabulary word. Metal. We talked about metal a little bit, but it wasn't a vocabulary word, but let's go ahead and highlight it. Okay. We talked about radiation. So I'm going to put radiates. Radiation, radiates, similar word. Let's see. We talked about heat. Heat. So we know we're talking about heat. This is a heat problem. Conduct. It says not conduct there. Conduct. Heat. Metal. Some highlighting. Wooden spoon. Boiling. Metal spoon. Okay, good. Now I'm going to translate. If there's a word you don't understand here, you can translate the whole thing. So I can just come here, translate the whole thing so I can understand it better. That's fine. But if there's just something you don't understand, what you can do is highlight. And then if you come to this here, this is translator. This will tell you when I highlight this what that means, and that means madera, or wood. Okay, and it's a wooden spoon. What's a spoon? I don't understand what spoon is. I can translate spoon is cuchara. Cuchara. Right. So now I'm going to continue with this problem. I think I highlighted everything there. I'll highlight metal as well. So I translated. I'm going to read it again. Which of the following statements describes an advantage of using, so advantage of using a wooden spoon, wood, okay, instead of a metal spoon to stir the hot soup. So an advantage of a wooden spoon instead of a metal spoon. So if I remember insulators, wood is an insulator. Metal is a conductor. Wood stops heat. So if I go to this question, what the advantage of wood is it stops the heat. So if you're using a wooden spoon, a wooden cuchara, then that will keep the heat from going into your hand. All right, let's see if we can find an answer that fits with that. Wooden spoon radiates heat faster? No. A wooden spoon has lower specific heat? No, we didn't talk about specific heat. A wooden spoon does not conduct heat. It's not a conductor. If I go here, yeah. Wood is not a conductor, it's an insulator. So my answer is C. This is my answer. Here, C. So I'm going to mark it with purple, that way I know the correct answer. And I chose my answer. So I want you to complete 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the open response here. Now the open response, I'm going to describe this. If you want to pause the video and go to the multiple choice now, that's okay. But I'm going to talk about the open response now. And the open response says a person brings a cup of hot chocolate, this is 70 degrees right here, into a room. The room is 20 degrees, and places a metal spoon. The metal spoon, again, if you don't know what this is, you can translate it, at 20 degrees into the chocolate. So the spoon is in the chocolate. Describe what happens to the temperature of the chocolate and the spoon and the air in the room after 10 minutes. So you're going to tell me the temperature of the hot chocolate, right? That's 1. What happened? You can tell me, did it increase, decrease, or stay the same because, okay, because you have to explain. So you have to include because. Okay, so that's 1, the hot chocolate. Okay, then you tell me, okay, so the temperature of the, okay, spoon, right? Did it increase, decrease, or stay the same? The spoon, what happened to the temperature of the spoon? We know that the hot chocolate is 70 degrees. The spoon is 20. So if this is 70 and that's 20, what's going to happen to the heat? Okay. So the spoon, it's 20. Is that going to increase, decrease, stay the same? Tell me why. And then the last but not least, tell me what happens to the temperature of the air. So the air is all around here. Is there, and if the air is 20 and the hot chocolate's 70, what's going to happen to the temperature of the air? Is it going to increase, decrease, or stay the same? And your options here, increase, decrease, stay the same, and tell me why. Identify the primary method of heat transfer, heat energy transfer, so is it conduction, convection, or radiation, between the hot chocolate and the spoon. Okay, so this one, is it conduction, convection, radiation? So you just tell me, conduction, convection, or radiation. And then the hot chocolate and the air. So the hot chocolate and the air in the entire room. So is that conduction, convection, radiation? And keep in mind that hot chocolate and the spoon, that's these two, and hot chocolate and the air is these two. Okay. Number 10. At what point here, at what point will the net transfer, the heat transfer, stop? At what point will the net transfer of heat energy stop? And you can go back at the vocabulary to help you with this. And we did talk about that last week. It was a while ago. But heat transfer stops when two things are the same temperature. So look at this picture. And when the liquid and the spoon and the air are all at the same temperature, that's what we call thermal equilibrium. That's when the heat energy stops. Okay, so I kind of gave you number 10 there. And so what I'd like you to do is go ahead and finish 1 through 10. And when you finish that, go ahead and complete the quizzes to check your answers. There's a quizzes attached to this assignment.